Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, October 8th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are our Nine of Cups in its reversal and our Hermit energy. Completely not surprised to see these two cards today. We are in an eclipse. We're in the time period I like to call the eclipse hangover. We're not fully out of this eclipse energy until about the 11th. So having, as we mentioned when we started today's readings, having these feelings right now of exhaustion, of being energetically tapped out, of being out of spoons to a certain extent, it is part and parcel for a lot of the energy that we often experience after the eclipse. So if you're feeling like that right now, what do you need to do? It's not surprising. We see our Hermit energy here. A lot of this energy withdrawing, feeling that sense of building inwards right now. It's giving a little bit of hermit crab energy, right? Because a lot of this going inwards that we're seeing here right now, this is allowing oneself to come into the spaces and places of energetic and spiritual restoration. It's allowing for a lot of that sense of, again, completion, right? Because we see even now that Nine of Cups in its reversal, that can feel like a lot of cycles are reaching their completion points right now. And even here, that ability of moving forward, it's heavy, right? This could be a time that you're putting a lot of thought in relationality to the experiences of the last 9 months or so. And a lot of this, even here, what do we see when we're often in these experiences that create that sense of energetic exhaustion? There is that feeling of peace, of mindfulness, of utilizing intentionality right now. Even in that sense of restoration, this is having different impacts depending on where you are in the frequency cycles. For masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, there's a lot, and I told you, this is also us coming through some of that Jubilee energy that we saw last week. All you can do is everything that you can do, right? So when you are in that modality that everything you do as it relates to preparation, like that's that sense that you come into that space or place of identifying and recognizing, waiting and seeing, right? So even here we see that this is a lot of that energy utilizing that both in relationality to the work that they're doing right now, but also in relationality to a lot that we're seeing here as it relates to what that pathwork is going forward, right? Because even here, that sense of expectation, like that sense of understanding, there's a lot of this energy right now that is following that pathwork and utilizing that sense of energetic purpose to guide them forward at this time. Now, what's difficult, we just discussed this in our recap. One of the things that we saw was happening yesterday for a lot of the energy deep within divine union. If these were modalities or experiences where you're navigating with potential energy outside of divine union, and someone was coming into that experience of almost, I want to say, like looking with a sense of devaluation in relationality to the work that you do thus far. If these are spaces or places where someone is seeing the easement or the grace that you're navigating circumstances in and feeling that frustration point, there's a lot of that energy right now that is working in terms of helping someone understand and recognize all of the moving pieces, like all of the things that one cannot see. Right? Because this is more of that same sense. Remember how we were looking at these cards yesterday and seeing that like sense of like we were talking about the swan energy, which is like the swan that looks very graceful on the on the surface, but that's because the swan looks graceful because of all of that energetic effort that they're expending under the surface, moving through the muck, like pushing those feet forward. This is that space of clarity or trying to provide that energetic clarity to someone in terms of saying, listen, I know you may feel like something is easy, but something that looks easy is never easy. There's typically a lot happening under the surface that you cannot see. And so we see that this sense of insight or this sense of clarification is, to a certain extent, the level or degree of compassion that the energy within divine union is utilizing to try to shed light at this time. And even here, it may feel like it is energetically isolating to a certain degree. And we said that and we're going to talk about this because this is also happening a little bit in the energy and separation right now. Because I told you that a lot of this energy and separation is inhabiting very similar spaces to the energy within divine union right now. This is giving someone that clarity of what occurs under the surface that allows something to look so fluid and seamless. Now, for the energy and separation right now, this is the energy that is potentially building, like moving. And even here, we see this, a lot of energy right now, having a lot of comfortability within one's own skin. A lot of this energy building into a space of feeling very confident within the self, which is what we'd like to see for energy and separation right now. But again, that volatility under the surface, all of that work, that internal work that is required to make something look energetically easy. This is a lot of energy that is potentially encountering themselves in separation, having that moment. And again, this is the gift that we say to someone, that when we say, like, that's when we say to someone, the difference between it, and I need to stress this, it must be so easy for you versus you make it look so easy. And even here, I'm seeing that a lot of the energy and separation is getting all of the information they need on new energetic connections built upon and based upon the differentiation in the way energy clarifies, and as to whether they say, wow, it must be nice, like it must be so easy for you, versus that sense of profound understanding and wisdom and energetic compassion when someone looks towards another and says, you make it look so easy, which is that sense of deep, latent appreciation for the recognition point of someone saying, I understand there must be a lot of moving pieces there that I energetically cannot see. So we see even now a lot of that integrity that's occurring right now, and a lot of the integrity in the new energetic connections is like energy that's working fastidiously, recognizing energy working fastidiously via saying, you make something look very easy. And that energy being like, I deeply appreciate I deeply appreciate the sense that what I see, there's a lot more going on under the surface, right? And that is a moment of beauty for someone that is capable or in the process of doing that work. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, this is more of that remnant coming out of the fastidiousness of the discernment as to the energy coming into divine union right now versus the energy that's falling back into separation. Because the energy coming into divine union right now is the energy that recognizes and identifies and says anything beautiful and seamless is not all that it appears to be, because this is the energy that's recognizing and getting underneath and doing that work on oneself, on each other, that is allowing for that sense or that space of effortlessness. I told you, this is the energy that's being able to say to one another, this might be heavy, but between the two of us, we can lift anything, right? And they're doing that work to kind of lift their own self by coming into that space of trying to heal what isn't working in their energetic connection. Because this is the energy that is showing one another along the way that they have what it takes, not just to stick around because they like the outside of something, they like the easement, but they really see one another and say, I recognize you're someone that is invested in the work that it takes to maintain something of such magnitude and beauty. Well, this is why we see a lot of energy potentially walking away from a circumstance or situation. Because if these are energies that feel like that sense of saying, I tasted perfection with you, we could have had it all, but we can only have it all if you're capable of doing the work required to maintain it all. This is that energy that is potentially walking away from those energetic connections and saying to themselves in the process, yeah, I saw someone that there was a massive amount of potential, but they weren't ready to do the work in order to sustain it. They didn't have what it took. They moved away from something when it got hard instead of rolling up their sleeves and getting into it, right? And this is why a lot of that energy is feeling that like shrug as they move away from something, because this is the energy that feels disappointed. It feels frustrated, but it's not feeling devastated, because when you recognize someone that has an ability of like, tapping into something, but not building into that space of consistency and maintaining it, or not having the rigor required, or not willing to do that hard work as it relates to an energetic connection, that's a lot of that energy saying, that's the type of energy that potentially looks at a partnership and goes, why don't I have that? But then isn't willing to capable, but as soon as something gets difficult, they run away from it because they go, this isn't that, not understanding that the only reason that's not that is because you're not showing the ability to put the work into it. It's like, this is the energy saying, like, this is someone literally walking away from a partnership and saying that person can't see their own patterns. They can't see their forest through the trees, right? And that's why the energy is walking away, because that's the energy saying, I'd be willing to show them, but if they can't see what they can't see, there's no way I can help them identify it. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got a spinner, and it landed transverse. This is that 5 of Pentacles in its transverse. So even here, for a lot of that energy that's moving back into separation under circumstances like this, you can see why this is frustrating. You can see that some of that energy may be feeling a little bit like they're holding their breath, because this is the energy saying, I tried to show someone something, they seemed incapable of recognizing it or unwilling. And that's the problem here, that some of the energy coming back into separation is feeling, is when someone is not able to see something, you really ask yourself and go, is that person incapable of seeing it, or are they unwilling? Are they intentionally trying not to address it, or are they unable to see it? Because again, why? That is the definition of the difference between what feels like it heals, like what feels like it can be healed, versus what does not desire to heal, right? So like that is even why, even now, like the frustration point with some of the energy in separation is potentially looking at a situation like that and being like, I can't tell if that person actually can see what I'm trying to show them and is just pretending that they can't, right? Or if that energy is blind to their own patterns, if they're blind to where the work begins, right? And the thing is, and this is why we see even now, like a lot of that energy walking back into separation as they do so, reaffirming their commitment to themselves and saying, unfortunately, it doesn't energetically matter, right? Like this is the energy going, it doesn't matter, because if the outcome is the same, the outcome is the same. The only difficulty is one has the capability of potentially changing when they come into that state of understanding. The other is rigidly against their own healing. The other is working like doggedly to like maintain something in a space of recognizing that they're unhealed, right? And so the energy is like, but here's the thing, the energy coming back into separation is like, I guess if the, like you, in one way, you'll know it. Like this is the energy going, if they ever get it, I'm sure I'll be the first to know it, because this is the energy that's like understanding that in itself gives all the clarity that you need. But here's the thing, the energy here coming into separation is going, I'm not waiting for that day, right? I'm not waiting for that day, because that day could be tomorrow or it could be never, right? Like this is the energy saying that day could be tomorrow or it could be never. And so this is the energy saying, that space is saying like, I'm moving forward and moving back into separation, but having that sense. And I see even now, like this is the energy that is feeling supported in separation, because this is the energy saying, I feel like I've done everything I can do. I feel like I left someone better than I found them. I tried to show them something, and either they were resistant to seeing it, or they haven't seen it yet. And hopefully that ability of showing them something means that the next time that occurs, maybe they'll be able to identify it, right? Because this is the energy that is moving back into separation, feeling the healing, in sensing the sense that they're doing their due diligence along the way, fostering the hope of someone understanding themselves in a better way, but not forcing them into healing, because recognizing that when you force healing on something, it never feels like it's healing. It just creates more trauma, right? The energy coming into in divine union, this is the energy having that breakthrough point. The energy within divine union, like this is why it's beautiful. The energy within divine union says it's not the fact that they identify or recognize that they're perfect. This is the energy coming into divine union saying we're far from it, but we're taking that journey together. We're recognizing and identifying what it is that we're trying to heal, and we're both invested in the reality by which we are working on things. And this isn't the energy saying I'm doing it for them even though I don't see anything there. I don't think it's a problem. Like, this isn't the energy doing that. This is the energy saying no, no, no. We are both invested in the reality through which we see and identify what we're both working on within the self. And that journey of doing that together is one that feels like it's profound, because this is the energy saying, you know, you're not bringing me into work that I'm not invested in doing. You're helping me navigate into that space of perfecting the self. And together, we can do anything. Together, there is nothing that we cannot lift, right? So we see even now, like, that sense or that space of identifying and lifting something together. This is at the heart of the energy within divine union. Next two cards before we get clarification on these points of clarity. And this is why you can't force someone into that modality. You can't force someone into a reality that they can't see. And this is the energy that feels like they're doing it together, and they're seeing each other with clarity as they do so. They're like looking at each other dead in the eye. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Five of Swords in its reversal, and Temperance in its upright. This is why, again, for the energy deep within divine union, doing this work, it feels like a sigh of relief. It feels like a sigh of relief and release, because this is the energy that feels like they are fully seen by the counterpart. This is not the energy that feels like they have to put up a facade or a false front, right? Because in that moment that someone identifies and recognizes and says, look, I know that something may look energetically perfect on the outside, but I also understand that anything that looks energetically perfect on the outside has a lot of, like, the swan's legs are like kicking around in the mud, stirring things up as they glide seamlessly or effortlessly across the water. This is the energy that says that space of saying, I'm going to build into perfection, and at the same time, I'm going to dig my feet into the mud for you. Like, that is not a journey that creates that false sense. This is the energy that has both the bright and the dark, that work on the top here and the work on the bottom, because this is the energy that does that work within the self along the way, and it stirs stuff up. You know, when we come into those spaces of intimacy, we uncover those parts of ourselves that are traumatized, that are hurt, that are angry, that are still working, that are still trapped in the past, right? And the important thing that you see here for the energy within divine union is this is the energy that sees all of that and holds it closer to oneself. Because this is the energy that says, as long as you're doing the work to protect yourself from those parts of yourself that you hate, then you are capable and worthy of being loved in any context, in any variable, because that is the energy that said you made the choice to heal yourself first. And in healing yourself first, you allow the ability of others to hold you in that same embrace. And so we see even now that a lot of that energy coming into divine union, it feels like a homecoming. It feels like a housewarming, because this is the energy that says, you don't have to be perfect to come in. You just have to recognize and identify what you're going to work on when you're here, right? Like, you're going to, and that mindfulness, right? That courtesy, that love that we give, it starts within the self. And this is a lot of the energy that feels that relief in doing that work, because this is the energy that builds into a point of appreciation and saying that journey is not one that you bring your problems to someone's doorstep and say, I don't know what to do with this stuff. Can you fix it? I don't want to hold it. You take care of it first. And that is the energy that says, I took care of my own mess internally so that I could build externally with the counterpart, right? And this is why there's so much energy right now that is feeling the frustration point. If these are energies that are now coming into separation, they felt that point. They touched for just a moment. They touched into that energy of divine union, because if you are not healed enough, the vulnerability required to be able to enter into that space, it will always feel terrifying. It will always feel like something that you must run from. It will always feel like something that you do not trust, because that space of not trusting the self is where it springs from. So we see even now that a lot of that energy, having those spaces and places of navigating with another and saying, that was great. This is like, and if this was someone that came into that space of reaching that and then suddenly got reactive, got distant, started to change, started to have all of that unhealed stuff come up because they started to love, they started to hold something preciously. And instead of holding it closer, they got aggressive. They got volatile. They got afraid of love, because when we're not healed, we will run from love. If this is the energy that pushed away at a time that they were supposed to embrace, even here we see that a lot of energy trying to show someone and say, it's okay if that scares you, so long as you can admit that you are afraid. Because when you are able to admit that you are afraid of something, you are acknowledging that it is something that you are working to build confidence towards. This is a lot of the energy that says, so long as you can see your abandonment wound, so long as you can see your triggers, so long as you can see your tendencies, everything has the capability and potentiality of being healed, so long as you are able to identify and share the fact that it is something that is requiring of healing. This is why we see even now, if someone's in that moment of saying, I don't know what you're talking about. This must be you. Why are you getting on my case? Leave me alone. You want too much. You demand too much. You're trying to get too close. Right? That is the energy that says, I felt something close to someone. The possibility and potentiality was there. But this is the energetic equivalent that moves away from something instead of embracing towards it. And so we see even now that for a lot of energy in that modality, a lot of energy in that capacity, this is why we see a lot of that energy going into separation and feeling very strong and supported in their decisions in doing so. Because this is the energy that says, if someone is not ready to heal, nothing I bring towards them will feel like love. And this is the energy that says that's not something that someone can identify or articulate or say that they want to change if they don't see it. Because when we give each other, when we say to someone, okay, fine, I'll work on that for you, that's not acknowledging that something actually needs to heal. That's coming into a point of concession. That's coming into a point of saying, I'm doing something I don't desire to do, or something I don't think is necessary to do because someone's making me do it, as opposed to that sense of someone saying, I identify, it's like not moving joyfully into a manifestation goal. Like that is the difference between that point of resistance versus that point of understanding. And that's why we see even now a lot of energy in separation, walking away from something in that way, but feeling like the healing coming into the self in identifying that sometimes doing the right thing hurts like hell, right? Sometimes doing the right thing is the hardest thing, because in those moments that we do the right thing, it might not be the thing we most desire to do, but a lot of that energy coming into separation under those modalities is potentially even articulating to new energetic connections the frustration point in recognizing and identifying what you know is something that could potentially heal with another, but simply having that sense of acceptance in where you find someone, and learning to believe and trust the reality of where you find someone instead of who you aspire them to be. Even in that space, there is grace to be found, right? And we see even now a lot of new energetic connections are potentially coming through as a result of that work, or even meeting those in that same space that are articulating upon similar experiences. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Hermit card and our Nine of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Swords in its reversal. Now, for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, there's a lot of nostalgia here. Like, I want to say there's a lot of contemplation and a lot of nostalgic energy. But the beauty of this, I need to stress this, and this is much like the energy deep within divine union right now. The observation and the perception of being able to see something, experiencing something in the present, and even saying to someone, a past version of myself, past version of me would have stuck around for it, right? I see a lot of this energy going, a past version of me would have just rode it out, would have just navigated that and just been waiting in partnership with someone to wait for them to see themselves. And this is the energy that says, I was blind when I did that. Because this is the energy that says, when you move towards someone and they say, I can't see something, and then you say, okay, I'll just stick around and wait until you can again. That creates a space where that energy is never going to see it. Why would they see it? Because that's the energy that is received into an energetic connection of someone saying, I know that that is that reality where you feel like nothing here needs to be healed, but I'm going to be here in a reality that's completely separate from yours. And we are now living in next to each other in two different places, because you're living in a world where everything is perfect and you are being taken care of, and someone is navigating all of your difficulties with grace. And the other energy next to you is in prison. They are in pain. They are waiting and waiting and waiting for you to heal, and you do not feel that there's anything to heal. You are living in different worlds in the same house. And so we see even now there's a lot of that energy saying, I recognize now that that ability of trying to heal someone that does not feel or desire or even experience something that they think needs to be healed, that ability of saying, I will accept you under any circumstances, creates an environment that prevents someone from getting to know and identify and truly see themselves. Because that is the energy that is limited in their experience by the energy that is supporting them in those states and spaces where they're not emerging as their truest version of self. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy doing that work, there's a lot of this energy here, even in separation, that are having those modalities and points of understanding and saying, I care about that person, but not like that. I would do anything to be in love with that person, but under no circumstances, how can you, once you recognize that, how can you ever energetically choose to remain in an energetic scenario where you feel like you are limiting someone in their own healing process? And that's why we see even now, for a lot of the energy in separation, it feels very isolating. Because that's that modality of saying that sense or that desire of doing the energetic right thing, it's hard. But this is the energy that says, I would rather make sure that I'm moving from a space of welcoming forward in one's own sense of separation, in that space of healing. Because that is the energy that says, regardless of what happens between us and that energetic connection, at some point, there is the possibility that that energy will recognize and understand what is required that will allow them to become their highest version of self, right? Well, for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, this is the energy doing that work together. This is the energy that acknowledges, that identifies, that has done enough work on the self, that they see. It's not that, like, look at these energies coming into divine union right now. They recognize and they identify that they are not perfect. They identify that they are not perfect. It does not require perfection. It requires understanding on what the work is. So these are the energies coming in deep within divine union that see where the work is, and there the work begins. And that is the energy that constantly lifts one another up in the process of doing that, because they're observant and recognizing of what it is that they're working upon. And so even in that experience, we see that energy feels like it's that moment where they find that deep sense of self, that recognition of personal understanding. This isn't energy that loses solitude in energetic connection. This is energy that finds themselves. They find their internal mechanisms. They find themselves through the journey with the counterpart that helps them see themselves with more clarity. While for masculine, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 9 of Cups in its reversal in combination with our 5 of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our 2 of Wands in its reversal. So for a lot of the energy right now, for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, This is what is so hard to be able to articulate to those, and this is why it can be frustrating to be able to articulate to those around you, especially in those modalities of saying, like, how do you make something look so easy? How do you do it? Like, and this is the energy saying, the trick is there is no trick. The trick is it's not easy. The trick is it's incredibly hard. The trick is that you work through the communication problems. The trick is that you do the hard work. The trick is that when things get messy, you grab a broom. The trick is that when everything feels like it's falling apart, you're constantly putting it back together. And this is a lot of the energy that's looking towards someone and saying, the minute you say, what's the trick? What you're really saying is, what's the easy way? What's the easy way of doing that doesn't require the work? And that's why we see even now in the energy within divine union, hear someone say, what's the trick? How'd you get so lucky? This is the energy going, this is why even now for the energy and separation, the act of giving to someone and saying, you make it look easy. Because the energy that knows how much work it takes is the energy that says you make it look effortless, right? That is what we see is happening right now for a lot of the energy and separation. I see a lot of the energy and separation. Even now, I see some energy in separation, navigating some conversations, potentially from some energy in the past that's trying to come towards them and saying, wait, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Wait. I can see some energy and separation having to navigate something here with someone being like, I didn't expect that to be I see a bunch of energy and separation right now having to navigate a situation of someone saying, wait, you're going to leave over something so small? You're going to leave over something so small? I can see it even now. There's a lot of energy and separation going, wait, that was so small. That was just like a nothing thing. And a lot of the energy and separation going, no, that small thing was everything, right? Because that ability of effectively recognizing and saying, hey, this is a problem, and someone saying, no problem here. I don't want to see a problem. This is the energy saying, nope. That is that modality of identifying and saying, we are inhabiting different realities. If I'm articulating that there is an issue that we need to address, and you're saying there is no issue, then that is the energy saying we are in different realities as it relates to what we are building towards. And this is why I see a lot of that energy and separation. If someone's trying to come back to them in that context and saying, and this is the energy, and this is why I see even now the energy saying, hey, look, I didn't know you were going to energetically go away because I refused to change. This is the energy saying your idea of feeling like I'm trying to change you is the problem. Do you understand that? Because that's the energy saying if we are participating in an energetic exchange where your desire to work towards a partnership is one that you are articulating and saying, forcing, making, like that is the energy saying, I don't desire to do so. Then that's the energy again. There's a lot of this energy and separation saying your choice is the partnership. Your choice, your recognition of how you are experiencing something is important. And so we see even now, if there's energy that's moving away from someone and someone saying, are you saying that you're leaving unless I do this? This is the energy saying it's not, it's the fact that you're already looking at it like it is a chore, like it is something that you you desire not to do instead of something that you want to joyfully and move towards. This is the energy trying to, again, this is a little bit of this, like, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, but the splitting of hairs that means everything. Because this is the energy saying there is a world of difference between moving towards manifestation goals joyfully versus feeling like you're being dragged every step of the way. Those are different stories. And so we see even now that a lot of that energy is being very mindful and trying to say to someone that desire, that ability of moving towards manifestation goals is one that feels energetically shared. And it's in the moment of feeling energetically shared that harmony begins. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, this is why we see that this energy is feeling that uplift right now. There's a moment here, and this is the energy saying, this is going to be hard, but I'm here to do it every step of the way, because this is the energy that's saying, the deeper I go with you, the more of myself I see. The further we go, the more we go, the more we go, the more we go together, the more of myself I see. This is the energy that says, I don't know what the future holds. I just know that I desire you with me along the way. That ability of holding firm to one another, building forth in that way. Even here, we see that a lot of that energy may be saying to one another, you know, I've never come this far with someone. That I've reached this moment in the past with someone, and that was the moment that everything fell apart. And that's the energy saying, I never even got started. I never even began, because this is the energy that says that that ability, that sense of determination in doing the work, not just when it's convenient, but when it gets difficult. And this is a lot of the energy being like, you know what? I'm looking back on those past experiences. The minute something got a little bit energetically rocky, the minute something got a little bit hard, if this is the energy now looking back and saying that person just dashed, that's a lot of that energy saying, I forgive them, because that's the energy that doesn't look at that and say that person did it intentionally. That's the energy going, I guess they were too afraid. I guess they weren't strong enough. I guess they weren't able to recognize what it takes to maintain the frequency in love, and understanding that you don't fall in love, you rise in love. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Pentacles in its transverse in combination with our Five of Swords in its reversal. Double fives today. May I please have, but this is an easement. This is a piece. Can I have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Pentacles in its reversal. A lot of this energetic healing that we're seeing right now, and I need to stress this because this is emotional. Like, I see a lot of emotionality that's potentially occurring right now via so many of these energetic connections, because for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, that ability of building forth with someone, having that sense of tenacity, having that recognition point, that energy that's willing, that says to one another, like, I'm here to do this with you. Like, this is not your mess, this is our mess, right? That ability of building forth in such a way. What happens in those moments? What happens in those moments that you recognize that? It feels profoundly triggering. It feels profoundly triggering, because it can remind you of those experiences in the past where that was that moment where you're building forth into a place of trust, and that was the moment you were disappointed. That was the moment you were abandoned. That was the moment that you first experienced the trauma. Like that is where the crack began. And when you move into the space of the divine union, that is where the gold is poured in. That is where the healing takes place. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, even in that experience of having that profound degree of love and support that comes towards you via the healthy counterpart in the space where everything shattered originally, that is that moment of restoration, because it reaffirms to you the space or place that trust is never wasted on someone who is worthy of it. And so we see even now that a lot of that energy building forth within divine union feels that moment of exaltation and devastation every moment that they build forth trust in one another, because it reverberates across every moment where it was shattered in the first place. Continuing to get clarification right now, this is why even now I see a bunch of energy moving back into separation. One energy very determined to move into separation, and I see a potentially an unhealed counterpart looking towards them and saying, you can't leave over something so small. We haven't even had our big fight yet. We haven't even had all these big dramatic moments yet of everything going awful. And this is the energy going, what? Wait, it gets worse. Like, this is the energy almost looking towards the potential counterpart and saying, like, wait, yes, this small thing, if you think that this is small, what you're really saying is that you're used to much more volatile experiences. This is the energy and someone saying, wait, you're leaving over something so small. It's a tell. Like, it's like the energy that speaks towards themselves, because it's in that moment of them saying, wait, you're leaving over something so small, and being like, what you define as small is a boundary. And if you think that crossing an energetic boundary is a small thing, then this is the energy saying you are articulating even more so that you are not inhabiting the same reality as I am inhabiting, because this is the energy that's getting better at recognizing and reaffirming and maintaining the energetic standard. So if there's something there that someone says, this is a problem, this is something we need to fix, and someone's saying, no, it isn't, this is the energy saying, you're not recognizing my energetic standards. Remembering, recognizing doesn't mean respecting. Recognizing does not mean respecting. Recognizing means you cannot see what I am trying to prevent from occurring. And so we see even now that a lot of that energy moving away from someone in that moment and feeling that sense of someone potentially not recognizing the energetic standard that was crossed. This is a lot of energy that doubles down and reaffirms and says, you are getting more clarity as to why in the process, right? Like that's the energy that literally is like, you are like, this is not something that can be negotiated, right? This is something that needs to be, it's either there or it's not. And so we see even now, like a lot of that energy feeling frustrated, but feeling reaffirmed as they move into separation, because this is the energy that's saying to themselves in the process, and I can see them building forth into new energetic connections and saying, it's not the fact that one isn't able to be lenient, right? It's not about the fact of one being able to talk towards something, but this is a lot of the energy that recognizes the difference between being able to talk towards something versus someone refusing to see it's there in the first place. You can't even talk about something if someone refuses to see it's there in the first place, right? You can't even begin to have that conversation. So this is the energy saying, yeah, if there's a modality where I'm articulating that there's something there and you're saying no, it's not. This is the energy saying there's nothing left for us to talk about, right? And there's a lot of energy I see even in separation saying, I don't have time to navigate or negotiate with you as to what reality is. I see a lot of energy going, I'm very busy in separation. And this is what brings us to the energy right now that's looking towards and building forth in something and saying, if you can help, come help, but I'm not going to argue with you about what it is that needs to be done, right? Continuing to get clarification between the Five of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Temperance card in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. Look at this. I like seeing this bad boy up here. We got our Two of Cups. Because this is the energy in separation that goes, I understand that a good energetic connection isn't going to require me to argue about what reality is. Like this is the energy. This is the energy in separation going, I don't want to have an argument about what reality is beyond like, not like, you understand what I mean? Like, I don't mean like, the philosophical quandaries of what the existence or nature of reality is, but what reality is, like what is actually happening. And that's why when we say what is happening, what we mean by what is happening is like, what do you think is happening right now? Because if you are clearly not in the same reality as I am in right now, if what you're perceiving is so beyond the pale. So that's the energy right now that's working. This is literally the energy right now in separation going, I am looking for someone that accepts the same reality that I am inhabiting. And look what's happening along the way. This is a lot of energy being like, I'm right there with you. And this is the energy that's like working towards that sense of really not paying a lot of attention to a partnership, focusing on that reality that is their reality. And who do they bump into? Who do they bump into in the journey of that reality? New energetic counterpart energy. And this is the energy coming into divine union right now, working towards that space, identifying those problems. And do you see this? This is the clarifying factor for the energy coming into divine union. It's not that divine union energy is perfect. It's not that it's sunshine and rainbows. It's that it's hard. It's that it's difficult. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And the people that are working towards divine union are the ones holding shovels and brooms and duct tape. And they're doing everything they can to try to clean things up in the process. Because this is the energetic equivalent of saying that reality that you're building into is one that you identify where the problems are that you're working to fix. And that's the energy that does that in the partnership themselves, within itself. And that's the energy that says it's not like that's not broken, that's our relationship. It just needs a few coats of paint. We just need to add a couple, we just need to put a carpet down. We just need to put a few extra boards here, but they're both recognizing and identifying where the work begins. And that is the energy that's building into the energetic connection. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, like that is what they're like, that is what that experience is built upon and based upon. Now, continuing to get clarification here between our Four of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Two of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify. Yeah, man, like this Queen of Pentacles. I love to see this Queen of Pentacles here because I have a little, I gotta tell you, it's a little bit of this pushback energy here. It's a little bit of this like energy of, I don't want to say this, feminine. Look at this. I want to stress this right now. Look at these counterparts. Remember, a good energetic connection doesn't require us to be in the same modality at every moment. It's looking towards the counterpart with a sense of recognizing what they need, right? So when masculine feels like they're out of spoons, feminine's like, hold on, I got a spoon over here, right? So even here, like it's not that sense or that space of requiring that sense of having to be in that lockstep space of completely feeling in alignment at every moment. These are not energetic equivalents here that are like, you know, complete duplicates of one another. They have nuance. They have adjustment points where one person leans in, the other person fills in the cracks, right? Like that's what we talk about with with counterpart energy. It is that energetic equivalent wherein the halves make the whole, right? And so we see even now that for a lot of that energy and separation, there's a lot of this energy and separation that's, again, and this is a different experience for masculine and feminine, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine energy, it's a little bit of this, like, this is like a little bit, I gotta stress, it's a little bit of girl boss energy right now. This is feminine energy looking towards masculine and saying, I don't need you to complete me. I complete me, right? This is feminine energy going, I am whole within myself. I am looking for masculine energy that recognizes and appreciates me for all of the aspects of who I am. And again, this is the energy of the feminine articulating and working through all of these lessons that we saw, which is the energy saying, I'm not perfect, but I am perfect in my imperfection, right? Because as we move, when we are mindful of our imperfections, we immediately become energetically perfect, because that is the energy that says, I have a realistic expectation. I have a realistic perception of my whole self. So this is a lot of the energy of the feminine saying, I am very self-aware. I am very self-aware. And this is a lot of the feminine energy becoming energetically self-aware via their own sense of protection. Because if this is feminine energy that grew up or had a lot of those experiences of masculine, poking holes, pointing out deficiencies, pointing out spaces of lack, a lot of the feminine energy is healing right now from unhealed masculine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, that said, why does it make you feel that I'm here for your observational pleasure in the first place? Why are you coming towards me with a sense of correction? Because that modality, do you do that to other masculine energy? Because that's a lot of the feminine saying that when the masculine comes towards the feminine with critiques on how the feminine is, what the masculine's really articulating and saying, you are here to be energetically pleasant to me, right? Like, and that is the feminine saying, I am here to be energetically pleasant to myself, to my own person. And so we see even now that a lot of that energy here of the feminine coming into that space or place of looking for masculine that shares that same ability of identifying the reality through which they're going forward. This is the feminine saying to masculine, I don't do that energetically to you. And I'm not looking for someone who does that energetically to me. Right? And so that's why we see even now, if there's energy right now falling back into separation that's starting to come into divine union, if this is a masculine that's starting to, in the process of the feminine walking away, The masculine is not trying to restore, but is instead coming forward with criticisms towards the feminine. This isn't a feminine energy that's apologizing for those deficiencies. This is a feminine that's building further affirmation of moving into separation in the process. While for masculine energy coming in like in separation right now, much the same is also occurring here, because we see that for a lot of the masculine energy, this is masculine energy that's healing from those spaces and places that told the masculine that they had to be strong. They could never show any sign of any emotionality. They had to put up that false sense of self in order to really navigate forward and be a masculine energy. And so for a lot of the masculine energy, there's this relearning process that we see that the masculine is undertaking. And that's a lot of the masculine energy that's feeling that sense of, again, the same journey of the feminine, which says, masculine, your inherent value, your intrinsic value, isn't just based upon what you put forth. Your intrinsic value exists in what you feel. And in order to heal something, you have to feel it. So we see even now that that's a lot of the masculine energy that is coming towards feminine from a place of energetic softness. From a lot of the masculine energy coming towards feminine and saying, I feel like I wasn't my true version of self in past relationships. I feel like I put up this false sense of self, and I had to keep that false sense of self up no matter what. And that's a masculine energy saying, when I create a false sense of self and I build into a relationship with someone that's never seen me. It's only a matter of time before that mask erodes. If you build into that false sense of self, the cracks are going to form immediately, because that's the difference between living and existing in the true nature of yourself versus trying to play a role. And that's why a lot of the masculine energy in separation right now is saying, I've learned how to heal that, because I realized that impossible standard wasn't a beauty standard. It was a standard of strength. And this is the masculine saying, I am divorcing myself of energetic standards of strength that require me to move further away from myself in the process. And so we see even now these new energetic connections are forming. Masculine being very vulnerable and authentic towards feminine. Feminine feeling very energetically complete. While for the energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that looks towards one another and says, you don't have to be perfect to be here. You just have to be recognizing and aware of what it is that we're working on together. And what it is that you're working on within the self in the process. And we see even now like a lot of that energy, same exact message as the energy in separation. Because I told you these energetic equivalents right now. The energy deep within divine union, the energy in separation, very much in the same place. That's that energy that looks towards one another and says, I find you beautiful in your deficiencies. Right? The things we love, we don't love them because we're perfect. We find beauty in their imperfections. And that's why, again, continuing to get clarification between our Two of Wands in its reversal and our Knight of Pentacles in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Chariot in the reversal. You can't fake it. Can't fake it. And I see even now, and that's why I see even now, if there's some energy that moved into separation over this, I keep seeing that there's some energetic connections right now that are falling into separation, and someone's saying, I don't get it. It was the smallest thing. It was the smallest thing, and they just moved away. But this is a lot of energy saying, was that small thing someone saying, hey, there's a problem here, and you saying that there was no problem? What are you talking about? Because there's a lot of energy right now that is coming back into separation saying, I'm not going to move forward with someone that does not exist in the same energetic reality as I do. Like that's the energy, like there's a lot of energy going, that was not a small thing. I see even now like that. And even, I even see a lot of energy saying to someone, yeah, they said it was nothing. And I see someone else saying, no, that seems like something, right? Because even here, that modality of like the small versus the large. I told you the expanse of the eclipse, showing the gift of the eclipse, taking something, the microcosm that becomes a macrocosm, saying that moment gave me insight to seeing something that I could not see before. There's a lot of energy right now potentially moving back into separation. And I want to say with frustration, but also relief, potentially having seen something and said, you know what, that was not something small. That was the tip of the iceberg. That was not something small. That was the tip of the iceberg, right? And I see even now a lot of energy right now coming into like in separation, articulating and saying to someone, yeah, they said it was something small, and the other person going, no, that sounds like the tip of the iceberg. Like these are the energies that are meeting one another in that context and amplifying and agreeing with each other along the way. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming deep within divine union, this is the energy that looks towards those things, and they sweat over the small stuff. They unpack something small. We see even now, it wasn't that things were easy during the eclipse cycle, but that sense of identifying what those hurdles are. This is the energy move deep within divine union that is always looking for improvement, right? They look at the partnership. It's not that it's not without its difficulty points, but looking at that and saying, we should address that. We're going to work on that. Like mutual acceptance of what they're working on, mutual observation of it. That is the direction. And so that is the energy of the divine union. This is why even now, this is a lot of that energy. If someone says you make it look easy, like that is someone complimenting you. But if they say, must be nice to have something so easy, then I feel like you might be getting judgmental at them, because that's like someone saying like, well, again, that's the articulation between understanding the work within is where the work begins, right? Nothing is easy. Nothing is easy. Nothing valuable is easy. Everything of significance and grace takes work. Continuing to get clarification between the Knight of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Two of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Moon card in its reversal. And I see even now, like, I feel like there's a lot of energy right now deep within divine union that's having to, like, I want to say correct someone on something. I keep seeing that there's a little bit of miscommunication on energy surrounding the energy within divine union that's getting their facts, like saying, like getting their facts wrong. Like I almost just see it. Like I almost see some energy being like, you know, like either the energy coming towards the energy in divine union saying, I wish I had what you had. It must be so, it's so, you got so lucky. You got so, look how easy it was for you. You just found that person and it was perfect. Why don't I ever have that? Like there's a lot of energy right now within the divine union that feels like there's a lot of that energy and almost like trying to come into that space of clarification, helping someone realize and recognize what it takes. You know, this is a lot of this energy that says the reason we're in divine union is because we refuse to walk away from one another when things get hard. That when things get difficult, we hold on even tighter. You know, and I see even now, and that's the energy saying we work to create that light. We don't find it. This is the energy that says, I didn't find my person. I found myself in the process. And that's the energy saying it's difficult doing that because I'm constantly finding out more about myself along the way. While the energy coming in with, you know, the energy coming into separation right now, I feel like there's something about this even here. And even now, I feel like there might be some energy in separation, someone trying to come into restoration, right? I can see this even now. And there's a lot of energy in separation, trying to articulate the difference of someone saying, no, wait, look, come back, I'll change. Fine, if you're forcing me to do that, I'll change, I'll do those things. Whatever it takes to be with you. This is a lot of energy in separation saying, stop. That's not the same thing. There's a difference between saying, I acknowledge and recognize that there's something within the self that I need to work on that's preventing me from coming into divine union, versus someone saying, I will do anything. I will do anything to be able to facilitate an energetic connection, right? Because this is the energy saying that ability of identifying and recognizing and sharing reality, like that is the difference between saying that we are on the same page, right? We identify the work that needs to begin and it feels like that moment of joy, versus that energy that feels like they're moving into commitment, and moving into commitment feels like a shackle. It feels like they're losing something in the process, right? And this is the energy that says into those, like this is energy that I almost feel like, again, in separation saying, yeah, there's someone who would be willing to, like, desires me to be with them, but doesn't understand what the work is that's required to be able to facilitate an energetic connection, like in relationality to what I'm seeking. This is literally someone saying we want different things. So we see even now, like the new energetic connections that are happening in the process, and the beauty of the new energetic connections that are happening is someone saying, I know exactly what you're talking about, right? This is the energy saying, and I even see someone saying, you know the difference between someone that's willing to do the work and someone that's willing to do anything. And this is the energy going, I understand completely. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Pentacles in combination with our Chariot in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Death card in its reversal. So, like a lot of this energy that we're experiencing right now, I want to say it feels, and it is because we're still coming out of this eclipse season. That energy that's in separation that feels to a certain extent almost like they're holding their breath, right? Because this is a lot of that energy, I want to say, in separation that is focusing, I want to say, is really, really prioritizing the type of energetic connection they're in to such an extent that they're recognizing the difference between someone that desires to do change from within, someone that welcomes, like someone that welcomes personal transformation. Because I'm going to tell you even again, a breakthrough and a breakdown is all dependent on how you experience it. So we see even now, like there's a lot of that energy having to navigate in separation, potentially even having conversations with someone in terms of saying that if you don't embrace or understand the reality through which one is changing, like that can feel like a blessing. Like being able to transform in that way, it's like it's invigorating, it's terrifying, but you can energetically welcome it, right? That process. Or it can feel like it's moving you out of energetic alignment. It can feel devastating. It can feel like it can feel like pulling teeth. Like if you're not in that space of doing so. And it all has to do with the amplification of one's own recognition as to what you identify needs to be changed or does not. And so I see even now a lot of this energy potentially in separation, navigating circumstances where, again, the difference between saying that is something that one welcomes, like something that someone's like, I'm willing to do the work, are you? And someone being like, I'll do it for you, versus someone saying, I'll do it for us. Like that is that huge moment of differentiation between someone being unwilling but doing something anyway, which can feel like someone, again, making a concession as they come into a manifestation goal, right? Versus that sense of joy, that sense of abundance, that sense of excitement, that sense of elation that occurs in the process of creating with the counterpart. And so I see even now a lot of energy being conscientious in relationality to who they build with, to identify and make sure that they're both in that space and state of inhabiting the same reality together. Now, for the energy coming into divine union right now, like that's why I see even now for the energy coming into divine union, that sensor space of having those modalities and saying, how do you do it? Like this is the energy saying, we are committed on making sure that it never ends. We are committed on making sure that it never ends, because that ability of doing so, like that is the mark of the healthy divine union, is that space of, again, identifying and saying the commitment occurs when you say, come what may. This is the energetic equivalent that says, regardless of what we need to change, that is the prioritization point of working with the energetic counterpart. Because this is the energy right now that works to maintain. And when you work to maintain and sustain, then that becomes the priority. You're not necessarily looking, you don't look at any transformation as a big deal, because everything is in the prioritization point of what it is that you're trying to hold on to. All change becomes immaterial when you value something and you prioritize something above everything else, right? Now, continuing to get clarification, and this is why we see even now, like that's the energy that basically articulates and says that ability of doing so, that is the modality of partnership to such a degree that it allows for that sense of seeing when everything else feels like there's devastation. You work to heal it. You work to correct. And that is the energy that does so within the partnership itself and also in the energetic connection surrounding. Continuing to get clarification between our Chariot in its reversal in combination with our Moon card in its reversal. May I have one card to clarify, please? Thank you. Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Cups in its reversal. Now, a lot of the difficulties that I'm seeing right now for the energy deep within divine union, I feel like there's a lot of work being navigated right now in relationality to trying to heal energetic connections that feel like they're not in an ideal place, or trying to build clarity to those around you, around the connection itself, in terms of how one maintains that. Because even here, I just keep seeing that there's just a lot of energy around the energy deep within divine union, and it's more of that marked space of saying, like, why is it so easy? And being like, it's not easy, it's hard. It's like that's like it's if it looks easy, it's because you're willing to do the hard work. And for a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now, that desire, that need, that compassion that you're trying to put forth, it's difficult because it's requiring it's requiring a lot of that energy right now to kind of have to give someone the confidence they need to recognize what can and cannot be fixed. Like a lot of this here, like this is what brings us to the energy right now, coming into separation, because what we're talking about and what we're seeing here for a lot of the energy in separation is the same exact conversation. A lot of this energy potentially moving into separation right now that came close to coming into divine union. If these are modalities when something started to feel like it got difficult, the energy moved away instead of coming closer, and someone saying to someone, wait, like that was so small. This is the energy going, how much further did you let things go in the past? Like this isn't the energy that waits for some big volatility point in order to sever an energetic connection. This is the energy that remembers that if something reaches a volatility point, that's usually a sign that you let something go too far. And this is a lot of the energy that's like coming into separation, saying something that they saw during the eclipse cycle harkened back or reminded them of something unhealed in the past. But what's important about this isn't the energy that's holding someone accountable in that way of saying like, oh, that person was bad or that person was wrong. This is a lot of this energy that's taking the personal accountability and saying, if I see something that I don't say something about, right, then what I'm doing is I'm agreeing to be a part of it. Right. And so that's the energy that's kind of saying, if I'm saying that there's a problem here and you're saying there's not, then if we continue forward from this point, then I am accepting the reality by which you say that there isn't an energetic problem. And this is the energy saying we are starting to move in different directions because we're starting to inhabit the same partnership, but we're having very different experiences within it. And this is the energy saying, I've been in that path far enough. I don't need to relive that experience. I know what that feels like to be inhabiting a space of a partnership with someone and be experiencing completely different worlds within it. And so this is the energy saying, yeah, that what you're defining as something that feels like it's small, this is the energy saying it's not small, because it's in the moment that you deny that something is occurring that you effectively articulate and say, that is you're inhabiting a reality that I am not existing in, that this is my manifestation goal ideal, and you're asking for something more, right? And this is the energy that's just saying, this is the energy almost saying to someone, I'm not going to argue about what that reality is. I'm just going to define and recognize whether we're sharing it. And final card for today's spread. And this is like a lot of the energy saying, and I know you might not understand why, but this is the energy saying you'll thank me in the long run, because moving in that direction leads to unhealed karmic connections. Final card in today's spread between our Six of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Death card in its reversal is, we have here, look at this. We love this card today. We have here our Fool card. So I want to just say even now, for a lot of this energy in separation right now, I feel like a lot of this energy in separation, I even see now, something that's happening for a lot of the energy in separation right now is potentially having that experience or feeling that moment that I want to say it doesn't bear explanation is what I'm seeing. Like I see the energy, I see a lot of energy in separation explaining something to someone that's moving in the same direction as them, right? Like, almost saying like, I was reaching a point where I had to like argue as to what the reality of a situation was, and someone saying, say less. Like I see energy being like, I understand that. Like there's a lot of this energy in separation that even when they start to try to explain why they're in separation, someone's saying, you don't even have to say, nope, I know exactly what you're talking about, right? Because this is a lot of that energy, saying that and I need to stress this, the energy saying like, I saw the signs of something that was moving in an unhealthy direction and I just decided to move away from it before it could get worse. Like that's a lot of the energy in separation, potentially being like, no, I totally understand. Like I totally get it. And these are the new energetic connections that are happening in the wake of that, right? Like that is that energy saying, I don't want to build forth into a relationship where I feel like I have to argue about what reality is, right? Like this is the energy saying, I don't want to have to have micro conversations about like the nature of a problem. I just want to solve the problem, right? And so we see even now that a lot of that work in doing so, it feels like that relief or that release. And either that's because the energy in separation is meeting new energetic counterparts that are like, I totally know that experience very well, right? Or this is energy that's starting to see that energetic cycle emerge, and instead of sticking around for it is like, no, I don't need to go through that again. I don't need to go through it again. Like this energy going, no, it's fine. Like just moving away and feeling energetically proud of themselves in the process, because this is the energy saying, I don't want to get caught in like a space that's requiring me to meta argue about whether we should be having an argument about something, because this is the energy that's almost seeing again, problems, like articulation of problems should reach solution, not that like that you can argue something ad infinitum, if you wanted it to, but it articulates a difference between someone that actually wants to come into a space of solution versus someone that is just like trying to maintain, like not do something, and via V, like keeping something in a point of constant argumentation that allows it to reach some point of stabilization by constantly finding problems or reasons why you can't proceed forward instead of solutions, right? While for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, this is just I want to say even now, this is like a real process of new conversations, new opportunities, and a lot of, I want to say there's a bit of impatience that's particularly happening right now. But the important thing I need to stress about that impatience for the energy deep within divine union is much like I told you, the energy in separation is much like the energy in divine union right now, which is like not wanting to get into a space of arguing with someone over the reality of an energetic problem, just wanting to make sure that you're on the same page so that you can be as effective as possible along the way. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now with our hangman in its reversal. So this is what I mean about this. There's a lot of energy right now that does not have time for anything that doesn't feel necessary. There's a lot of this energy here that is kind of like, I want to say, moving through or moving away from anything that feels like it's energetically extraneous, right? Because that sense or that space of identifying what feels like it's practical, like this is a lot of the energy that's come through a transformational process, right? There's that letting go that occurs here. And so I see a lot of it is like coming out of this eclipse season, a lot of energy has changed. Like a lot of energy has changed in profound ways. And when you're recognizing and identifying, thank you, that something that you used to like hold on to, it doesn't feel like it has as much import. It's because you recognize that you're holding your priorities in a different place. And so I see even now that some of that argumentation zone may almost feel like a reintroduction that energy is having along the way, because this is a lot of this energy potentially saying like if these are experiences, particularly for the energy within divine union, where someone is bringing something forward in such a way that it used to trigger you, and now you're just kind of like observing it as such. This is a lot of that energy that's saying like, look, recognizing the things that are important, they're important because they're hard. That's the energy saying like, either you see me fully or you just see the part of you, of the self that you desire to see, without recognizing how like all of the work that goes into something that feels like it's energetically easy. Well, for energy coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that feels like they're becoming their most authentic sense of self, because even in the process of identifying and feeling like one can embody fully in yourself, you're not becoming lethargic in that space. You're not saying, oh good, I can just be my most authentic self, and you're getting comfortable. This is the energy that's like really committed to that change or that process of building into an energetic connection that requires that sense of identifying and seeing one another fully, so that you become your best version of self in the process. While for a lot of this energy and separation, I see even now, like I see a lot of energetic connections that are potentially ending because someone does not necessarily have patience, or someone doesn't necessarily have understanding. Like I just see it even now. Like I feel like a lot of energy right now in separation, having to have those moments with someone and saying, listen, I think we're having different conversations. Like I can almost see the energy being like, I feel like we're having different conversations. And especially because this is the energy that's not looking to be caught in some kind of like long withdrawn argument over something, just trying to find the problems that have immediate solutions, right? Like the ability of articulating upon a difficulty should always be that exhalation point on what feels like it's practical in the process. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, did you know we've got tarot class this week? Our next tarot class is going to be held this Thursday at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Lover's card. I am so excited to be able to teach this card to you guys. It's one of my favorite cards. We're doing it during Libra season, which is my astrological association to it. We're going to talk a little bit about the triptychs and the trines. If you'd like to become a part of that class program, now is a beautiful time because you've got a few days to catch up on where we've been so far. Because when you become a subscriber to my Substack, not only will you receive a ticket to that live class, but you will also have access to the full repository of recordings and course materials for anything that we've learned thus far. And all you need to do if you'd like to become part of that class program is head over to my website, to graystrega.substack.com, and become a paid subscriber. Not only will you have access to the class this week, but you will also receive access to a one-on-one chat with me to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've learned thus far. And if you decide to become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein we will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey, and I'll give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're already joining us there, and I look forward to potentially seeing you at our next class. And even if you do not become a paid subscriber to my Substack, make sure that you're following me there. Also, if you are a subscriber here on my TikTok, make sure that you head over to our Discord channel. Over on my Discord, you will find a special coupon that will give you an additional discount on the classes that you are having. Even if you don't become a founding member, even if you don't become a subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about any of my in-person events or my schedule for the lives over the week. You'll also have access to my giveaway information. Speaking of giveaways, we are in the middle of having our October giveaway. If you would like to win a free tarot reading with me, all you need to do is head over to the link tree in my bio. There is a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway. But if you would like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner, I will not only be giving away a reading to the person that wins, but I will also be giving away a reading to the person that referred them to the survey in the first place. Though thank you if you've already gone ahead and entered, and I wish you the best of luck of winning this month. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. That is 4 45-minute courses that can be purchased, that can be received on a weekly or bi-weekly schedule. And these are focused on whatever area of personal growth or spiritual study you are most interested in learning about. I take a very limited number of students for this reason. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight classes. Weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, 1 per week or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.